Entrepreneurial Edge is brought to you by Business Banking from FNB, because small ideas can lead to big business. FNB, how can we help you?
Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge. I'm Chris Bishop. Now this is the show that gives entrepreneurs everywhere the edge and the insight into how to make money. Now, have you ever met a headhunter? Well, you're about to. In layman's terms, a headhunter is someone who hunts for highly skilled and experienced managers to run top organizations. It's a craft for the quick-witted and cunning. It's also a way for an entrepreneur to make money very fast, if you're good enough. I'm sure many of you are saying, how do you start? Well, let's find out now from Jonah Naidoo, who started the company Mindworx from scratch. A company with such humble beginnings that Jonah assures me he didn't even have a garage to work in. Welcome to you, Jonah. So, what were your entrepreneurial roots? Were you born or made?
You know, I'm not quite sure if you're ever born or made. I think that my circumstances were quite specific and unique to me, and you know, other people are fairly different. But for me, I think what pushed me along this path was that I guess my parents were in business for something like 25 years, and in a troubled political environment, and you could see a black business struggle against the odds. That definitely pushed me. But I also think that as a student in varsity, I peddled costume jewelry, so you know that won me a lot of popularity with the girls, but also, I mean, you know, along the way, as a student, I spent a lot of time in a family retail business.
Was there any moment early when you were peddling costume jewelry when you thought, this is it, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thrill of closing a deal, chasing something down, that was really strong in me. And I think that there's one characteristic that stands out. It's got to be chasing something down. And chasing a deal, closing a deal, that thrill, today in everything that we do, I mean, that's the outstanding feature, you know, that keeps me going. Now,
you said your father was a battler as an entrepreneur in the furniture business. Was there anything he ever said to you when you were growing up that stuck with you?
I'm not sure if he'd be happy if we called him a battler, but...
Oh, battler's a good thing, yeah?
But, well, you know, I think more than him saying anything, I think it was the deeds in action. And certainly he put the hard work in, and you know, I think that certainly helps.
Now, how did you pick the headhunting and recruitment business to make it as an entrepreneur? How did it come to you?
Well, you know, I think when I first started the business, we didn't start as a headhunting business. We started as a consulting business, and the business just grew into the people business. People and clients often asked us, well, we've done this piece of work, who's going to run this work for us? And so often we ended up in a situation where we'd have to go find the right person to run it.
And when you did start out, I said in the intro that you didn't even have a garage to work in. That's true. How humble were your beginnings?
Well, you know, I think it's quite funny now, not then, but you know, I remember winning work and you know, tendering and putting proposals in and working in my pajamas in my study. And you know, I thought to myself, if I could win this business in my pajamas, what if I put a tie on? And you know, that's how it all started. You know, we got a lot more confident and got out there to win this business.
Because that's one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs do discuss about. What do you do when you're starting out? Do you go heavily into debt? Do you get a big suite of offices? Do you get like flash secretaries? Do you get nice big desks, etc., even though you can't afford it, just to impress and bring in business? Or do you say, be honest and say, look, here I am, I'm on my own, I'm just starting out, I'm a one-man band?
You know, we just have to look around us and see that so many people have created so much of value in their businesses by just not being flashy and just being humble and getting it done. I think what's more important is the integrity and sincerity you have with your clients. I think when you have that, I think those are the building blocks of success. You know, the flash and the bright lights all follow, hopefully, but I think paying the school fees in terms of client sincerity and integrity is the building blocks.
And when you started out, what was your first ever recruitment, and how did you feel at that moment?
Well, it was quite daunting because you know, I don't have an HR background. So, our competition in this business was really HR professionals that know the process. And what we brought to the party was understanding business. So it was very easy for us to use the network and the influence we had in the market to scout for the right person, put our feelers out into the market and find the right person. And what I found, I was quite surprised at how the market works, that you could hone into the right skill just by talking to the right people. And if you replicate that model, it can work very well. But the first deal was awesome. I think only to beat that first deal is my business partner, who I think was very successful in making one phone call, got probably 10 or 15 names from a person that understood the market very well. And we had an appointment on a headhunting assignment very, very quickly.
And just tell us a little bit more how it works, this headhunting business. I mean, you want to set up and make money from it. Just tell us a little bit of how it actually works in terms of how you do make money.
Well, I mean, before we talk about making the money, I think in this business, I think we always say there's a lot of disappointment. Clients go cold, candidates go cold. So, keeping up the energy levels of everybody is very important in this transaction. But, we work on a model where we hopefully go on a retainer with the client. The client trusts our integrity and discretion to handle the assignment. What typically happens is that we go and scout the market. And in the old days, headhunters used to be forensic type people. Now the market is a lot more transparent. If you think of social media networks and things that we have access to right now, there's real power in the recruiter's hand to be able to make these, close these deals.
How difficult can it be to find people sometimes?
Well, I think, there's obviously from a scarce skills perspective, there are some skills that are quite rare. But I think we like to think we have a knack for, scouting out the talent. It is hard to find. It is talking to the right people is very important. The referral system works very, very well in this business. So I think that doing your homework, doing the research on it is critical. I don't think you can confidently get in front of the client and defend people that you're putting in front of them if you haven't done the homework.
What's the strangest or most rarest skill you've ever been asked to look for in your time in the business?
That's a tough one, yeah. Probably, I mean, we did a very senior actuary at the time. Very, very hard to find, to get these people talking to you. So it was out of our industry, out of our sector. Wasn't terribly strange, but it was tough getting information out of those guys. They were very closed and kept things very close amongst themselves, a small network of people. But, overall, we were able to deliver on that.
Now, you've mentioned networking several times in the interview so far. Obviously, this is the core of what you do. How do you go about that? I mean, how difficult can that be sometimes, getting networking with the right people at the right times?
I think it's got to be a part of the job. What you got to be doing. I think if you're not networking, I think if you're not connected, I think you're going to fall short. And I think our purpose in our business, we talk about it as successfully connecting client and candidate. And if you look at our payoff line, it's plug in and prosper. So we're really punting the relationships and the networks that can be built.
If you want to be a successful headhunter, what sort of places do you have to hang around and go to? I mean, if you want to get in with the right people.
Well, I mean, it depends what we're recruiting for. So I think you got to understand where these people are, what they're doing, and get into the inner circle. So social media circles and networks have made all that very small. In fact, social media has made headhunting, I think, cheaper, maybe even easier to do. And the challenge in our business is then, still creating value for our clients. I see that as a real challenge in our business, but I don't think there's, in the physical world, any problem with networking, with, finding the right spots that people hang out in.
And this social sort of networking revolution, is that making your job easier or more difficult?
Well, it's, there's two sides to this thing. On the one hand, it's very easy. It's made the world a smaller place. And the industry is still finding its feet on how it uses it successfully. We also see our clients dabbling in the same market, and so the challenge is for us to create a lot of value for them, and still give them the confidence that the work that goes into it justifies the fees. So that's the big challenge in using social media. But I think it's that's the downside. But I think on overall, I think that it's a good thing for the industry.
And how difficult is it to keep it up sometimes? I mean, I can tell you journalism is also based on network, and sometimes, you're in a bad mood, you don't feel great, and yet you've got to go shake hands, talk with people, even if perhaps you don't want to sometimes. How do you approach that yourself? Yeah, I mean, have you ever been in a time when it's been a bit of a strain on you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't come naturally, I think, to be honest. I think it's a skill you learn. And I think when you decide not to pursue this angle, I think you've got to be very bold and very confident.
Was there ever a time when you thought maybe you're going to pack it in?
I think for me the decision to go into business was that I didn't really enjoy the corporate world. And when I decided what Mindworx should be, I had to make it work. And I've never looked back, and there's been some tough times, but I think there was never an option. And I think that certainly helped me, that not allowing myself the opportunity to pass out, I think certainly helped.
And was there a day when you ever thought, that's it, I think I've finally found my feet and made it?
Yeah, I think, we're going to be 10 years next year. I certainly think that we have sustainability in our business. I think we have a platform for good growth in our business. So I think definitely that it's sustainable. But I think, though, I don't think you can ever feel comfortable, because there's always new challenges. You've got people breathing down your neck. I think you're differentiating yourself on service. And when that's the case, then I think that you can't rest.
Well, speaking about people breathing down your neck, we're going to talk about financing of your business in the second half, as well as some of the other issues in the recruitment game. Hold that thought there. We're going to a break now in the second half. We'll look into some of the controversial issues swirling around the world of headhunting.